So we're going to go all the way through a first lesson on teaching the bassoon. I have Tyson here, a student of mine, and so we're going to go all the way. Tyson's never played the bassoon before. He's a saxophone player, and we're going to see if we can get a sound going. So we're going to figure out how to put it together first.
All right.
Okay, so you're going to want the floor to provide kind of a base for your pushing down of the pieces together. And we start with this piece right here, which is called the boot joint. So I'll pick it up for you here, and that would be it facing you here with the small hole on the right and the big hole on the left. So you can get your hand on there, just sort of hold it steady. And then the next piece we're going to use is called the wing joint or the tenor joint. And you can see only one of these ends has a cork on it, so that's the end we're going to put in. And can you see, I got this, can you see which end or which hole it fits in?
Probably the small one.
Yeah. So you can just push it down, and a little bit of twisting is great. Just be generally careful on the keys, but it's pretty hard. You just don't squeeze too hard, mainly pushing down.
Is it all the way?
Yeah. Now, we can use kind of this out part right here to give it a little leverage if you need to. Just want to keep an eye on this guy that we wouldn't bend that up there. But I was watching you, no problem. So you can see this concave part is inward, and you want it to sort of be ready to go. It's going to actually fit the next piece in that space right there. Okay? So the next piece is this big piece called the long joint, and the small end goes down. Okay? So what you look for here is this thing. It's a locking pin, and there's a spot for it right here. See that? So you can help them sit in together so that those line up, and then you'll work on pushing that down. Okay? So see if you can get that in the right spot. Nice. Okay, so now you can kind of pull the locking pin out of its holder there and see if you can get it to seat in the...
Is the ball part of it? Or?
No, it pulls out like this. There you go. Cool. Okay, so now they're all attached together. The last part's easy. So get your thumb on the bell here, and then you can see the bridge key that it attaches to there. And that one can be a little bit stiff, so just make sure those line up. There you go. And just pushing straight down. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. So we're all set. There's clearly still a missing piece here, and we'll get there. But that's the basic idea, and I want to show you how to hold this thing a little bit, because it can be a little bit interesting. So, pull your chair back over here. All right, and what we're going to use to hold the bassoon is actually, it's called a seat strap. Okay, so I'm going to put it on your chair. So stand back up for a second. And when we lay down our seat strap, it's really important that the front right corner is where we're aiming for that hook part to go. And I'm going to lay it a little bit diagonally across the chair so that you're easily sitting on a lot of it. Okay? So you can have a seat. We're going to have to mess with that a lot, but you can just have a seat right there. And don't worry about sitting right up on the very front edge of the chair. You want to actually sit back a little bit, just like you are. And you can sit even a little bit more toward the right side of the chair, just so you're kind of right up on the edge. You don't want to feel like you're falling off, but it can be helpful to be closer to that strap. All right, so.
What about in marching band and stuff?
That's a good question. There are very few marching bassoons, but there is a neck strap. There's a hook on here that you can attach a neck strap to. And sometimes people will use a seat strap and a neck strap just to make sure they don't drop it and stuff. But as long as you keep your hands on it, it'll be no problem. So in the boot joint in the bottom here, you see there's a couple holes, and that's where that hook is going to go. And this side here, with the short end on your right, that's the way it needs to face you. So we got it correct right now. And I'll hold it here. Don't worry about grabbing it, but yeah, pick up that hook and hook it in the closest hole. So that's the furthest one. There you go. Is it in there?
Yeah. Oh, wait,
good. Yeah, it'll work either way. Okay. Now, you did the right thing. You were sliding that strap through just a little bit. So with your left hand, pull a little bit more of that strap through. Good. All right, let's try that. And there's a lot. It's okay if it takes us a few tries on this. Okay. So see how that's going to hold up a lot of the weight. Now I'm going to lift it again. We're a little too low, so pull it through a little bit more. Nice. Okay. Now lift up a little bit so it can go back through because we went a little too far. All right, let's try about there. So we'll really know once we have this basically, mouthpiece in there, the vocal and the reed. But for now, we're just going to figure out where to put our hands. Okay? So generally, you already have kind of the right posture because you've played an instrument before. And as long as this seat strap is up here toward the front of our right leg, then you can feel that it actually leans into your leg just a little bit. Okay, so that helps get some of the weight taken care of. Also, the seat strap itself is holding up the bassoon. So
I don't do anything with this then?
no, that's totally cool. You leave that in alone. So your left hand, the kind of the heel of your index finger here, is going to rest against the side of the bassoon here. See that? So you can bring your left hand right up there. And as we find the tone holes with your fingers, you'll probably notice that there's a pretty natural place for your hand to go. Okay? So finger-wise, we have 1, 2, skip this guy, it's kind of a trill key. And then here, you're going to want to straighten out your ring finger a little bit. So instead of having all 3 fingers curved and coming in at kind of a perpendicular angle, you can come in at more of a 45-degree angle where it's comfortable. 1, 2, and then, notice that has to straighten out just a little bit. Good. So that finger works a little bit flat. Okay? Good. And now, this pinky can just live on the top of the 2 pinky keys. All right? Now, don't try to hold the bassoon with your fingers and your thumb back here. Let it kind of rest in here. It's actually similar to how flute players will use their hand to sort of hold the flute against their face and still be able to use all their fingers. Okay? So do you feel a little bit of it kind of resting here? And yeah, now I don't see those white knuckles anymore. We're not squeezing the fingers as much. Basically, if you try to hold the bassoon with your fingers, your hands will get really tired. So that's good. All right, now your right hand is already pretty close. And so we have one hole right there. Doesn't have any metal with it. It's just a hole. There you go. But actually, what I want you to do first is I wanted you to find that, but I want you to cover this one with your middle finger first. So lift off this guy for a minute, okay? Now, right now you have a nice, pretty straight wrist, okay? Let's see, we're going to be about here. Would you raise your elbow just a little bit on that side? Good, okay? So, with your middle finger here, this one has to open out kind of like peace sign. You got to open up that finger a little bit to get up here to that hole. Okay, feel that? There's a little bit of a separation there. So we put this finger first, then we put that guy on. And this one found exactly the right place on that paddle key right there. And then the right pinky is going to go on the smallest, closest key to you. Okay? Cool. So, just kind of sitting... Oh, yeah. Your thumb, over on this side, sits on this small key right here. It's called the whisper key. Okay, can you see it's operating this guy right there? All right? So, that's a great place for your thumb to rest, and then these other hands come in. So now that we have that right hand kind of going, take your left hand off for a second. And I want you to reset, but I want you to start by putting the left thumb on the whisper key. Okay, and now you find those other places. Yeah, see how that works? Straighten out that ring finger. Okay, so the reason it feels a little funny is because our bassoon is basically straight up right now, and it's designed to be held and played at about a 45-degree angle. All right, and that's where this starts to be a little more important. But if you feel like you're holding up the whole bassoon with this weight right here, then reposition it, and we can adjust your seat strap to make sure that is helping to hold the bassoon up. Okay? Sure. Cool. So now that it's kind of sitting across your body like this, let's move it a little bit more forward on your right leg. Okay? All right, and elbow-wise, you got it? Feel okay? So elbows are a little bit like we're flying, just a little bit. Not like crazy, but a little bit here. If we get broken wings, then your wrists are going to end up feeling pretty uncomfortable. Okay, so raise it just enough that your wrist feels good. And other than that, you don't need to go any further. All right, sweet. So, your right thumb we haven't talked about yet, but remember the seat strap and your right leg are already helping hold the bassoon. So you see your right thumb has a lot of keys really close to it, and it needs to be free to play those keys all the time. So you don't actually want to hold the bassoon with that thumb at all. It needs to be able to be totally free and just move around. So it'll float. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so again, leaning across here at about a 45-degree angle, and we have fingers 1, 2, 3, and straightening that out so it really seals the hole. Good. 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that pinky should be up on that closest, smallest key. And pretty much all the time it just lives there, whether it's pressed down or not. Okay? Nice. So we'll come back here when it's time to make a sound on the bassoon, but that's the right idea. And we'll have to mess around with the seat strap some more to get the reed to come into your mouth exactly. Okay? So I'm going to set it aside for you, and we're going to work on making a sound.